What is up, campers, glampers, crampers, and overlanders? Today we are going to be going over a little tutorial and review of the Spyderco triangle Sharpmaker, the Spyderco Sharpmaker. I've had this thing for about 6 years, and when I first got it, I was like a pro, because this thing does take some skill and getting used to and kind of training yourself on how to use it. But once you get it, this thing is capable of literally like getting any knife razor sharp. There's a sharpening way, a sharpening part, and a back bevel part. So if you're trying to reshape your knife, it does work on serrated stuff, not as well as sharp straight blades, or like it gets a little tricky getting to the belly of these kind of knives. But today I'm going to be sharpening this Crkt that I got a while ago, this cheap Amazon cooking knife that we have. My Schrade hatchet axe thing. I like to keep this thing really sharp, even though I've heard people say that it's not as efficient to have an axe super duper sharp, but I try to get this thing hair razor sharp. So we're gonna do that, and then we're gonna give a little maintenance on our Wave Plus by Leatherman. I use this guy. This is the workhorse that I use at work, camping all the time. But these are basically the 4 knives that I take camping that get most stuff done. So let's hop into this little Spyderco thing. So when you get the Spyderco, it comes in this box. It's really compact and nice. And they say you can sharpen anything. There is a YouTube video from Spyderco when they first came out. It looks like it's from like the early 90s or late 80s. But so it doesn't come with these two finer ceramic things. It comes with these two, which will get you pretty sharp, enough to get any basic job done. So this is what it comes with. There's a little sticker in there. I don't know what that's from. Anyways, but there's 3 different levels. There are these ones, which are the most coarse you start with, and then these medium grain ones that I have. And I do have, they're like the diamond grade ones. I have one of them because I just like basically used to polish up, and I'll show you kind of how at the end of this video. And at the end of this video, we'll also do a little comparison of how it cuts from the beginning. So right now, this thing's still pretty sharp. But it kind of rips. See, it's not like as sharp as it could be. This is just like a little camping paper. So let's start with this knife and show you how to set this bad boy up. There's a little dip right here, so I'm gonna try to do this back here. So what you want to do first is take these out, and these are the little safety rods that are also in there. Get these guys out. Pull it out. Okay, and as you can see on this side, I think it tells you this is the part to get an edge. So this is like a 40-degree edge. So most Spyderco knives are at this. I started with a whole bunch of Spyderco knives, so I mean, I just get them to whatever this regulation. As you can see, it says 40-degree edge, and then this is a 30-degree back bevel. So meaning if this is your blade, like this is the tip right here, sharpening is going to hit right here, and then the back bevel is a little bit wider of an angle, so you're going to be like shaping the blade a little bit back from the edge, if that makes sense. Like, I'm by no means a professional, but this is what I've kind of seen, and there's kind of a graphic there to show you. So we're going to be working on the sharp side, so it can work this way or this way, but you just want to make sure you're on the edge part. So what you want to do is put these are triangular ceramic sharpeners. So what they say is at first to start with, oh man, I haven't watched the video in a long time, but this is how I do it. And these can be clean. As you can see, like there's a little bit of, dust from whatever your knife is made out of as it sharpens. I tend to start with the edge. So you can put these in a couple ways. You can put them in like this, or you can put them in like this, and this is the edge that you're going to be sharpening on. I tend to start with the sharp edge, so I put both of the guys in like that, the little sharpening things, and then This is just basically their safety thing. So you don't want to touch your knife on these. I don't even know what they're made out of. But so I'll show you. This goes like this. This goes in like this. So let's start with this cheap kitchen knife that is just kind of part of an Amazon cook package that I got. And so once you have these guys into these little slots, these holes, this is basically what you're going to be doing before I start with the knife. Is you're going to be having the knife, you're going to be drawing it down these edges. So you're going to be down and pulling towards you as you're going back and forth. And so, oops, you know, my thumb was right there. You don't want is the back part. You don't want to be cutting your thumb. But basically, that's what these are supposed to be. These safety things. So if you do accidentally miss, you'll be able to, you know, not get your hand. I guess they work. They're trying for safety. So basically that's what you're going to be doing. You're going to be pulling the knife down and pulling away from you, and you don't want to be putting that much pressure. The key here is to keep your knife straight from this angle. You don't want it like that. You don't want it like that. You want to keep it just like that and consistent. Now if you turn it sideways, so you want it straight like that, but you also don't want to be pulling like that or down like that. What you want is straight 90 degree angle, so your knife is squared up, and you want to be pulling like that. So not only is it flat like that, it's also going to be flat like this. So when you're sharpening, this is what it's going to look like. You're going to be keeping it at a 90 from both sides, starting with the tip right there, but keeping it 90 and pulling it down and towards you. So you want to keep just like, don't put almost any pressure, just like let the ceramic do the work. And so it's really easy to get the belly of your knife. What's harder is the tip, but we'll move to that after this. So I'm just going to keep going like this. As you can see, I'm trying to keep it level, not like this, not like this, because the key is consistency, so that's why this kind of takes some practice. You want to get it like that the whole time. Let me move you to the side so you can catch this angle. So again, you want to be not like this, not like this, just straight and pulling it down, pulling it down, pulling it down, down and towards you, without very much pressure, like hardly any pressure really. And even like this little bit that I've done, you will definitely start feeling a difference in how smooth these are gliding down. So again, straight, not like this, not like this, not like this, not like this, flat. And so I'm just going to keep doing this, maybe about, I don't know, 20 passes on each side. And the key is just practicing keeping this nice and level. Alright, so that was just a handful of passes with the most coarse ceramic blades, and look already how much better this thing cuts into this. And like I said, this is a quicker knife to sharpen because there's whatever this is, whatever metal, steel, it's just not good, so it doesn't hold an edge, but it's also easy to sharpen. The higher end steels you get into, the harder they are to sharpen, but the longer they'll keep their edge. So with this cheap one, it's working. Like I said, this is just the most coarse ceramic things, and it's getting there. So let's move on to how to sharpen, and that's basically sharpening this, what they call kind of like the belly of the knife right here. It's a little bit harder to get the tip sharpened, but I'm going to show you how to do that right now. Alright, so keeping consistent with your edge, like this will never change. Your knife always has to be level and level. So what you'll find is when you're using this edge, so again, I'm sitting on this triangle right here, so I'm sharpening this edge is what I'm using to sharpen, coming down right there. And what you'll find is once you get towards the bottom, you're pulling down, you kind of get to that tip and you can almost get to it, so you can sharpen up to there and it's pretty easy. And then you'll slip off, and what you're doing if you're slipping off is you are running the tip of your knife against this coarse thing, and eventually it's going to make that dull. It's going to make that edge blunt. So what you want to do now is, so we have these in at an angle, right? That's what we started as. Now we're going to shift these over to be on the flat sides. There is a part that's a groove here that's for sharpening like fish hooks and stuff, so we're keeping both on the flat side. So now instead of sharpening on this edge right here, we're going to be sharpening on, turn it just a little bit, we're going to be on this flat side. And so it's the same exact principle. You want to be keeping, again, your knife level this way. So also now you want to keep consistent. So we are flat like this. We're not like up, we're not down, we're not like this, we're not like this, okay? What you also want to do is keep it consistent from, I guess, which is like the y-axis now. No, the z-axis? I don't know. So meaning you want to keep this edge. See how as I, boom, full contact right there. Oh, it's just still blurry. Yeah, right there. Full contact. If you're like that, you're kind of working on the edge again. If you're like this, you're also working on the edge. So you want it, boom, to stay full contact like that the whole time. And when you're pulling, and this takes some skill, same thing on the other side. You want that full contact the whole time. All the way to the tip, boom. And then you just keep working at it. It does take practice. And because you have so much more surface area to work with, once you get to the bottom, you'll see you can run this down. And you don't really want to pull away off, because every time you do that, a little bit you're going to make that edge blunt. So you want to just pull it down. I just tend to hit that, so I know I'm not pulling away and slowly making that tip dull. And then you can even, sometimes I start in the center of the knife when I'm just working towards on this part, the tip, from here on. So I'll start in the middle. It's kind of hard to do it while holding the camera, but so that's how you kind of want to do it. Again, keeping your angle, consistency is key here. And you want to be holding this with your other hand. But once you get the hang of it, you'll be able to sharpen all kinds of knives. See, I haven't done this in a while. Honestly, for me, it's kind of a little bit more difficult sitting down too. I found that the best height is like working at like waist level, at like if you were like a kitchen counter, where you're kind of, you can keep a consistent pull and edge. And if you practice standing up, or when you're sharpening, try to have the same setup every time, so you just get used to it. Then it's like that muscle memory. Okay, and then now once you feel like you've gotten it pretty well with this side, like this is probably gonna be relatively sharp right now. Let's see. Oh yeah, boom, that was like butter. Then you can basically switch these out, and I do repeat the same process, but with these medium grain. And then if you end up getting the diamond ones, the same thing. So pull these out. Put in these mediums. I tend to start with the edge and not the flat part. You can see how smooth this is feeling. You start to be able to feel the edge. Now, ooh, hit the tip there. Now let's see how this. That was just a couple passes, right? So, butter. So this thing's basically good to go. You can turn it in again too. I don't need the tip to be super sharp with this one, but I might after work on it a little more. And you can feel the tip isn't as sharp as the belly right now. Oops, so you don't want to do that, but I need some practice with this guy. So trying to keep that angle, like I said, 90 degrees. And that's how you do basically these knives. So I'm gonna move on to my Leatherman eventually, but let's show you how to do, because this thing they say also does serrated edges. So this has this like little sharper serrated edge. And with the serrated edges, you only want to stay on the angle right here. So, and I tend to just, so this is one of those so on this side, there's no bevel. On this side here is the bevel here. So you want to, I just sharpen this side, maybe do one pass on the other side at the end to kind of get all the shard off. So, but basically with this, you'll feel the edge going into the teeth, and it's the same thing. This thing's pretty sharp because I don't use this side too often, but this is how you do it. And then to get that edge, that tip right there, the very tip, as you can see, to get that tip, I might turn it sideways because this tip does have, as you can see, the bevel, the serratedness, this kind of stops right here. So to get this last section, like literally that my finger's covering, I'll switch this to be the sharp edge, the flat edge, and just hit this a couple times. And you want to keep it consistent. I've seen people push it, you know, but I tend to pull it, but keep it just flat, just like that. And then just keep working at it, you know, and that's basically it. So once you move on to the Crkt, this is the Leatherman, and this use better steel for sure. I don't know, I know there's a bunch of steel heads and knife fanatics out there. I used to be super into it. This is Taiwanese steel, it says 2000 Taiwan sawtooth. But so for this knife, it kind of gets a little tricky because you do have the serrated edge right here. You have the belly right here, and then you have this kind of swoop. So this took me a while to get used to doing this one, but basically I work it in 3 different sections. First I'll do the serrated part, then I'll work the bevel, and then I'll focus on basically the tip out. So, and I start with this, it's the same process, it's just where you're working it basically. So I start with the bevel, and on this one, kind of like with the Leatherman, there's no bevel on this side, it's the serrated edges right here. So I'll just work in with this section of the knife right here, and it's on the right side here. So, and you can feel it getting into the edge. You can feel this angle, the triangle angle, getting into the edge of the knife. So this is that Crkt, and I've just basically, I should have done it before, but just in that quick little tiny, this is pretty sharp already. This is without these, so you don't necessarily need to buy these if you don't want. Once you get, if people that really need knives and you want them so sharp, you can get the coarse ones, the medium, and then the fine diamond grade. The fine diamond grade, when I was working with that one, I could literally pluck a hair from my head and just like go like that, and that it would cut the hair. But that's just kind of like novelty stuff. But I'm gonna keep on going with this and just a couple more passes, and then we'll get into how I sharpen the Schrade axe. Alright, I think that's pretty good for the Crkt. Oh yeah, buttery. Like this is the leather case for it. I bet you it'll even, yeah, see, look at that. Just cutting off that little bits of the leather. Look at that, boom! This thing is good to go. I'll put it back in this case. Always be careful with sharp knives. I feel like a sharp knife is way safer than a dull knife though, because a lot of accidents happen when you're trying to cut something and your knife isn't sharp enough, so you end up putting pressure and then you lose control of the knife. But with a nice sharp knife, it shouldn't take that much pressure to get the job done, so you're less likely to lose control and cut yourself. So sharp knives are safe knives, keep that in mind. So now let's move on to, boom, the axe. And it's basically the exact same principle for the previous 2 knives. So I will start with these on the inside. You could wash these every now and then just with some like dish soap and a sponge, just to get, and it'll, because once the coarseness starts filling up with whatever steel you're using, it's not as effective, and this one's probably needs a wash. But so we'll start with this guy. Let's see if we can do a before and after of this. This paper is pretty jacked up already. So I haven't sharpened this in a super long time. Yeah, see, it's not really biting into anything. Let's fix that. Let's get this axe super sharp. So basically, same thing with this. I'm going to keep it level again. I'm going to keep it level, and I'm going to keep it level. So, and I just basically hold this, not like this. So I'm going to keep it down. And what I'm going to do is basically just like, and this is pretty heavy, so I just let the weight of the axe. So I'm just kind of guiding it down. And at the beginning, I'm starting to sharpen basically the belly. So from right here, this edge to this edge, and then at the end I'll do from here that way, from here that way with the flat sides of this. So let's get into that. Again, this is just the belly. Just letting the weight of the axe go down, and I'm letting it hit this plastic at the bottom. This plastic won't dull it that much, just to basically get control until you're more advanced and you can stop it like here without slipping off. I say just go down and hit the bottom of this plastic thing. You're not going to hurt it. So that's getting good too. That's getting pretty good. Like I said, this is a tougher steel, so it's a little harder to sharpen, but it'll keep its edge. Okay, wow, yeah, see? That first time, it's still, it's not that great. So I'm just going to keep working at this, doing the same thing. It's a little bit better, so I'm going to keep working at this. Okay, so I've just been continuing the process with this guy, and this thing is getting pretty sharp. Yeah, for a axe, I think this is pretty good. I just like shaved some of the hairs off one of my knuckles, so I think this is pretty good. As you can see on this though, because it is a wood axe, it could use a lot more work, and I can get it a lot sharper. What you start to get is that, see on the very edge, there's the mirror. That's what you're looking for right there. That's how you tell you're hitting the right angle. And as you progress, that will get shinier and shinier to the point where like it'll be like glowing at the edge in the sunlight. And that's when you know you have a sharp axe. But so now moving on to this section, literally this last, like the finger's width, this last section and this section is when you flip to the flat side, the flat sides here. And same thing with the other knives, sharpening the tips. You move in the same way, but now you're going to be working on the tip, like that, and then you're going to be working on this back tip on both sides. So the tip that way, the tip that way, the tip that way, the tip that way. Always being level this way, and this way. X, Y, and Z axis always level, going down, and then you'll get a good edge on that. So basically that's knives to my knowledge of this, but this thing is also designed to sharpen scissors and fish hooks as well. So or any type of, you know, like a sharp tipped object. I know there's those EDC kind of tactical pens where there's like basically a tip that sticks out. You can sharpen those with this edge right here. So like fish hooks, you know, that's why you can put them in there and move them up and down. I don't have my fishing gear with me right now. I'd show you. But if you're fishing, you understand, you can sharpen it in there. Or if this was like a tip, you know, you can sharpen it through there by twisting it eventually. Additionally, there's this input here that gives you kind of like an upward angle, and I think these are for scissors. So if you have scissors, most scissors have some type of angle in the cut. I mean, I don't think it's for these scissors, but just to show, basically you go to the edge where that bevel is, and you can move them along this way, again keeping it flat, and flat with normal scissors, and move them up and down. I haven't really tried it, but that's that they say it's for. Additionally, this thing has these grooves in the back, so if you put the case back on, you can set these here, and these line up for a nice flat surface. If you needed to sharpen anything or run anything along the edges here, that'll work for you. Like I said, I don't really use those. That is, my extent is basically knives. But so thank you guys for watching. Let me know if you have any questions or if you have any experience with this or any other types of knife sharpening things. That's a Spyderco Sharpmaker. Thanks, guys.